Yeah, this is somebody that's scared sometimes that they're alive. Sometimes, once in a while, they feel like the world is like a scary place to be in. They feel a little bit afraid of the future, what could happen, of losing your health or having a financial problem or getting being homeless or getting sick, getting some kind of disease or getting a really bad car accident or there's things in life. No matter how safe you think you are, no matter how careful you think you are, you could be out in the world wherever, and something could happen to you that you absolutely have no control over whatsoever. That's why I have this stupid name that I use, right? That's why I chose this username, because sometimes this world is a scary place. So it's scary to be alive. Yeah, sometimes it is. Deal with it. Live with it. Yeah. Be a man. Grow some balls. So I had a dream, and I thought, was this a movie? I thought my dream that I had was a movie that I just don't remember what the title of the movie was. So I went on and I searched around. I searched for the words, the things that I remembered in the dream that were very specific, that stood out, that I remember. And so I typed those words into the Chat GBT story. Chat Chat GBT lets you create stories. So what I did is I just took the basic ideas of what happened to me, my experiences that I had, and I described these experiences into the program that helps you write stories. So it actually added material in there that I didn't even put in there. It made up names, it made up a conversation, and in the description that I gave, there was no names, there was no anyone having conversations with anyone else. That the protagonist was from first person, so they were all by themselves. Well, that was my dream, and I was the protagonist in my own dream. So let me read the what the Chat GBT created for me, and I'll read you the parts that I put in on my own that I came up with. But I'm going to switch the screen, so I don't know if it might just my live chat stream, it might just shut off because I've switched screens on my Chromebook. So if I switch screens on my Chromebook, I'm going to be reading. Hopefully, it'll keep what you're seeing me, but I'll be reading from the tab that has the document open from that I captured as a text file from ChatGPT. So it was a dream. Title was a dream about an afterlife. So opening scene. Uh, a person was grieving the recent loss of their wife. They're wandering down along a quiet wooded country road in the daytime. The trees form a natural canopy along the road, leaves rustling softly while they're walking. The road meanders through the forest and leads to a clearing where two buildings come into view: a large, pristine white funeral home and a smaller, weathered garage like building next door. Inside the funeral home, approaching the large, elegant funeral home with its white walls, high ceilings, and polished wood floors, gives the impression that it's sterile, sterile tranquility. Uh, Walking around, looking at different old furniture in a colonial style building. There was a funeral director there, but they didn't pay any attention to me. I was just there as an observer and not interacting with any characters. So then there's this is made up, right? Then they make this part up. The director informs this the person on the journey that they can wait in the lobby while preparations are made, and cryptically warns them not to go next door to the smaller building. The unraveling, approaching, uh, approaching these buildings at the funeral homes with their stillness and their well manicured lawns and hedges with white, all white, with lattice windows and high ceilings. So there was a subtle, eerie phenomena. There was seems like there were faint whispers, flickering lights, and the sensation of being watched. Being curious, being curious, it makes one wonder where these other, what this other building is. So I go and I leave the bigger building and go to the smaller building. And I'm at the front of the smaller building. I'm looking, trying to look in the door. There's a window in the door, but there's no windows on the building. It's about the size of a large garage, and um, and that was a crematorium, but there wasn't any sign that said that. So it continues to write, just as the ones being more curious, the atmosphere in the funeral home changes. A vague group of people meander in and take sit in the chairs and on the benches. They appear to be disoriented and confused. So these individuals that are there, vaguely, I knew of them being there, of their presence, but they look like ordinary people and have kind of a blank look on them, an ethereal quality, slightly translucent, maybe glowing a little bit around their face. They're ignoring me. Uh, and I got the impression that they were departed souls, that they were expected to be, they were waiting for somebody to give them guidance or direction as to where to proceed. Uh, and they were in a waiting area. So the funeral home was a waiting area for these people that were going and passing away. So they go on about a guide. There was a guide for each person to help them that came to them to their that sat with them and talked to them and give them counseling and coaching and it like giving them helping them out, talking with them, explaining where they are and what happened to them, and this is the situation they're in right now. They passed over. So as the dream progresses, there's this real intense feeling increasing of being drawn toward that little building, which was a crematorium. Um, Looking inside, trying to find out what was inside. I was curious about what was inside, so was looking through the little window in the door, and the door managed to open up, and it was just dark inside. There was no light. I couldn't see anything. And driven by a mix of dread and determination, I decided to venture into the crematorium, despite the warning. Despite the feeling of dread and gloom and fear, I went forward into the building, and it was dark, and it was there was no one and nothing in there. So I just left. So that was pretty much the end of my dream. So they described the inside of the crematorium. It says the crematorium's interior is dim and dusty. It's got unsettling items, documents, photographs, a journal with entries, people's names, birth dates, and places of birth, and how old what date they died on. So and then there was um, other people came to be guides, and they were more advanced persons. They were more stronger, and they had more solidity about them. So that sounds like that story called The Great Divorce. There's a Christian author. I can't remember his name, but Yeah, in the Great Divorce, people were in hell, and they all got in a bus, and they got bigger and bigger and bigger, and they came up through a crack into heaven, and they had to get out of the bus and walk. We looked around and everything. Some chose to stay on the bus. Climax. Okay, the guides in the journal reveal that the crematorium is the crucial junction between the living and the afterlife, a place where unresolved matters are addressed. The observer learns that as their wife had died, their wife had a role or message related to the place, and there's a deep sense of now there's comfort because it's a passage. The person that realizes that the other person has passed on through the crematorium, and they're released from this world, and they are no longer bound by gravity or any kind of sensation of movement or personal experience of themselves being alive. So there is no time for those that pass. Yeah, there's no perception of time. So in resolution, so the a decision leads to a conclusion. Okay, if they chose to stay, if whomever chooses to stay in this place and linger into the mysteries, they might uncover profound truths or face the supernatural challenges like their karma, right? So if they retreat, they'll return to the funeral home. They'll be transformed by the encounter with the guides and the revelation about my wife. So this is description of my own personal passage through this place. So I could relate to that. This is all made up too. It makes up a lot. You only put in a little bit, which leave out actually. Oh, it left out the input but that I gave. Oh well. See, it's cheating me because it's going, no, it's not your property. Then you don't own rights to that because that what you just read was somebody else's creation. It doesn't have your name on it. It just whoever wrote the software, whoever pays for the service on the servers, whoever it keeps pays electric bill on the server farm or for the server farm, and then they have this the software that you use to create the story with. If you're not paying for that, then they own it. They own what you create. So it's kind of like you're just going and using their tools, and, and you may or may not own it. So, but what I told it my dream. I was walking along a road. This is exactly how I remember my dream. I'll describe how I remember my dream. Walking down a, a road in the country, and it's wooded. It's not heavily wooded. It's just all evenly wooded, like it's been replanted with with uh, with deciduous forest. It was in the daytime, and it was about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And I come up to this like a turnaround, like a cul-de-sac, right where the front of the a property is. There's a driveway that loops all the way around, and there might have been a fountain in the middle. And in the front of the building, it had like the crosshatch windows, and it was very tall. It had high ceilings on the first floor. It had old wood floors, like colonial style. Interior heavy walls were plastered heavy. Um, and there was old heavy furniture, antique furniture. It was a funeral home, and then there was a building next to it. It was like a big garage. It had no windows at all. It only had one door in the front, and it had a little window in the door, and it was the crematorium. I didn't know that. I was walking up there, and I wanted to see what was inside in my dream, and I tried to get inside, and I got in there. It was dark. There wasn't anyone in there, and then I woke up.